Welcome to a little video to do an analysis on making the ultimate top for spinning and balance. And you can see I have a whole fleet of them here. I've been busy making them, but some of these are real duds. And so what I wanted to do, if you have some patience, is to go through and show you different things I've learned about what makes a top spin a little bit better than another top. I'm going to start down here, and I'm going to start with this guy, and this one is a laminate of mahogany and some type of light colored wood. And the problem I had with this one is, if you look at it, I have a very slippery neck to grab onto, and it's very short, so when I go to spin it, you can see I can barely pinch it, and I can't hardly get a spin out of it. There's a little one. My second design, I tried to put a little neck on it. By the way, I put some rubber gloves on so I can get a better grip on the top. And what this did for me is make a top that's out of balance. You can see the wobble in that. That wobble makes more friction, and it begins to lose its energy and falls very quickly. Now, these came out really pretty. This is made out of olive wood, but I think what I figured out about these is the olive wood has a lot of different density differences because of the grain, and when you spin it, you can see there's a lot of wobble, and they look pretty, but they're not too functional. Now here's another one with nice lines cut on it, but you can see it's got a big knob on the top, and it doesn't spin worth a darn. Now this one is an interesting one. A friend of mine that's an engineer said put some higher density, heavier wood on the outside here. It's on this inner layer, so this is laminated black walnut on top and bottom and Bubinga in the middle. But I made the mistake of making the base too rounded, and it does a funny spin. See if I can get it for you again. And you can see it's got a bunch of wobble in it because maybe this is too high here. If you get real high, you got a lot of mass up above, and you get that wobble. This one here is made out of a type of wood. I don't know what this stuff is, but I had some scraps of this material that's very lightweight. You can almost puncture it with your fingernail, but it seems to have a very consistent grain, and when you spin it, you can see you get a really nice spin out of it, and it spins for a long, long time. To put these lines on here while it's spinning on the lathe, I just took a permanent marker and touched it, and it made a nice ring pattern. That's a little bit out of the field of vision for you, I'm sorry. This one here is solid Bubinga, and this one works pretty well, only I have a little bit of bulge here. I found that if you can get a profile where this is like 45 degrees, it's going to spin a little better for you. So we'll go ahead and get that one a spin. You can see it's very well balanced. I have another one here that has the Bubinga laminated in the middle and lighter wood on the outside, and I'll give that a spin, and you can see that's fairly well balanced. And I began to see that if I could remove wood from the top part of the top here and almost go in as much as I could and leave that 45-degree angle there, that it really spun very well. Here's another one that is made out of that light colored wood with a consistent grain, and you can see, I think if I get it on the table for you, that there's very little wobble there. It's a really nice spinning top. Here's another one that almost looks the same, but let's see what we get. And that one has a whole lot of wobble in the top. These are made with the same lathe, same tools, the same carver, me, but you can see there's a lot more wobble in this one. So I don't know if you can see a difference in the pattern there, but this one is a top spinner in comparison. Here we have one, And you can see there's that 45-degree angle, not too much on the top, a neck that's long enough to grab, and some circular cuts in there made with a wire that gives you a pretty good grip. And this is one of my top spinners. You can see there's very little wobble in there. Going over here, here's one with a longer neck, point on the bottom, the Bubinga density wood here. And you would think that would spin really well, and it doesn't do badly, but there's a tremendous wobble. I don't know if you can see it in the top. It's vibrating back and forth. This one here, a very sharp edge, and it even kind of dips in a little bit right here. Dense Bubinga wood here, and very light, softer wood on the outside. And you can see, I get a pretty good spin out of that one, but there is a little bit of wobble there. This one here has that dense wood in the center, kind of a round one here. And here it comes back into the field of vision. And because it's round on the bottom, it tends to travel more on the tabletop, but it does spin very well. It's balanced very well. Here's one that's made with Bubinga in the center and black walnut on the outside. That one spins really good. It's very balanced. It comes to a fairly good point, and you can see it stays right in one small area. These here were made from laminated pieces of wood, and it spins okay, but if I were to time it, it doesn't spin as long as some of the other ones. And this one here, lighter wood in the center, and you can see it's pretty well balanced. Now I went from there, I had a few scraps left, and so out of the scraps I just made these little flat ones. And it's interesting, my granddaughter, I was going to throw these away, but she put a little decoration on them, and you can see they spin fairly well. I've got another one here. And that tells me if you get most of the mass at the bottom and very little at the top, you're going to have good balance on it. I took some of this softer wood and I made a really big one here. And I put stripes on it with permanent marker. And then I put super glue over it for a finish. Got a nice shiny finish. But then I had trouble because it was larger spinning this. So I put a little bit of super glue around the top, and I put striations of sand on there so I could really grip it very well. And you can see with that grip, I can get a good spin. And this one spins for a really long time. It's very, very well balanced. So I might encourage you to put something that'll give you friction at the top and use a wood that has a good grain in it. Some kind of failed experiments. I wanted to see how big I could go with a top that I would spin with a finger. And this top, you can see, this is about the size of an apple. But when you go to spin it, it's really hard to give it much of a spin. It's got so much mass. So some of you that are engineers, maybe you can come up with a good idea on this. I thought, I know what I'll do. I'll make a spinning device. So on my lathe I cut this, and you can see it inserts in here, and my idea was to put this in my electric drill and turn on that electric drill and get this spinning good and fast, and then just lift up because it was kind of a friction hold there. But it didn't work very well. This didn't engage properly, and it was hard to disengage it. So maybe you can come up with an idea, and if you do, let me know in the comments, because I'd like to see if I can get these spinning a little bit better. I thought of making some of these as gifts, and the problem is if you give them to someone, I thought they would be nice for someone's desk at work to be like stress little toys, so they can alleviate stress, but they get away on your desktop. So how could you corral this? And an idea I came up with is on my lathe, I cut these little dishes, and you can see this one has a very gentle slope on it, and this one has a more abrupt ending. This one's flatter, this one's more concave. And when you spin in these, they do hold it in one location, and they're kind of mesmerizing to watch. And I think, if you had one of these on your desk, I think you'd play with it a bit at work. I did notice, though, if you have an edge on it that is real abrupt, sometimes when it comes over near that edge, the underside of the top hits it and it kind of slows it down. So I could see how this would be kind of a neat gift. Whoa, it's getting away from me there. To give one that really looks pretty like this guy here. And that would be a gift set that someone could have on their desktop, and you give it a spin and you can see that one. It's got a lot of vibration in it there, but it's staying right there in that little corral I made for it. I'll give this guy a spin. And so in summary, what I've discovered in making these tops, don't get greedy and go too big. You've got too much mass to spin. If you can come up with something that has some friction at the top, you're going to grip it better. If you can get a type of wood that is a consistency in density, you're going to do well. And if you can keep shooting at that 45-degree angle on the bottom and take a little mass off the top there, you're going to be better off. So I hope maybe you picked up some ideas from this, and will come up with some ideas of your own. And if you do, please share them with me. Thank you for watching.